Hello, Twitter and YouTube land. So recently, I was talking about the idea of starting up a podcast because for many years I've been toying with the idea of doing one, and I enjoy talking. I'm sure people might enjoy maybe listening to whatever I may have to say, if anyone listens, but hey, that'd be fun to have listeners. The idea to have a podcast, so I already come up with a name, the Hoosk Podcast, because I'm going to be the only constant. If one day I end up making an episode on my own, relevancy, but would be fun to have a co-host or co-hosts present if available. So, may not always be the same co-host every other week, which it seems many of you might enjoy the idea of having a podcast every 2 weeks, which is certainly doable. You just have to make the time for it. Get into a habit of doing that, but that can be easily developed. And duration of podcast, 30-minute minimum would be proper because you have enough content to kind of put on background noise, whatever you tend to do. I tend to listen to podcasts while at my workbench. I'm doing something, I put something in the background, and while I'm working on either carburetors or reloading or even cleaning or part sourcing, whatever, I tend to enjoy listening to a podcast while I'm doing something. I don't know how you end up listening to a podcast, but I figure it would be a fun thing to have something for people to listen to, whether if it's rambling on about nothingness. It could be a podcast about nothing, or it could be a podcast about something. But my eventual goal is to maybe start a podcast, maybe not relatively soon, but would not mind having one at the end of the summer, maybe even August, but kind of have to see how things go. Would like to get a few mics. I can get a mic, at least for the time being, to get something started, but for now, it's going to be pretty basic for what it is. Don't plan it to be anything a high production show. It's just meant for fun. Would love to get listener questions about anything. Ask me anything. We'll have to set up an official email for the show, so that's what I plan on doing. I probably won't make a separate Twitter account for it because you know what? That seemed a lot of work. I would rather record an episode, then put it on YouTube, and then, post it on Twitter or make a mention on Telegram. I could make a separate Telegram chat, or not really chat, but more like a channel for those interested. I think it'd be a fun project. It's something I've been thinking about doing for so long. Of course, there was those pauses which, could have a bit of work on. I am a great speaker. I once did a speech in front of 300 people in college, of a speech that I had to write on paper. And turned out I didn't even bother looking at the actual scripts at all. I just literally improvised the whole 5-minute or 10-minute speech without even actually getting near the podium. I walked away from it and I kind of did my own thing. So I have the capability of talking. It's trying to recondition myself to do it better now, because it's been a while since I've done that. Yes, I can speech, but with more frequency, I can build up to that level again. So it may take a while, but the idea is to do it all for fun. Would love to have a host on the show, quote unquote, and just kind of talk about the few subjects, kind of bullshit. There's a nice dragonfly looking at me. That's cute. And kind of provide something that would be really, really fun to do, especially now with COVID going on. There's not much you can do. Seeing other people in large groups is kind of a dead end right now because it's just not a good idea. The idea, and it would not mind having a local for a co-host. Yeah, it would be cool to ask other furs from across the country, but I don't know much technology, and I would have to search more information on how to get two co-hosts or two hosts from two different spots of the country, video syncing or audio syncing, because sometimes you have a delay. That might be way too much than I'm willing to chew right now, but would rather like to pick a local co-host that is either willing to record with me in a quote-unquote studio, because of course people have to say that with podcasts, you have a studio, or maybe do it remotely. That still requires some tech just to kind of understand how to make that all work. I don't know. We'll have to figure something out. I think it'd be really cool to start a podcast and just have fun with it. The whole idea of doing something is to have fun. If you take things way too seriously, you lose the fun aspect of things. That's with any hobby. You can take things a bit seriously, but if you take it beyond a level that doesn't seem fun anymore, there's almost no point in doing it. There is going to be structure. There is going to be somewhat of a script that I would like to follow for such a podcast, but it's not going to be like, oh, I am Dustin DaHusky on the Channel 7 News, and I'm going to follow a script to the T. No, that's not how I would want it to be. You follow a script, but it doesn't have to be exactly to a T. I want to have a show for 30 minutes, but what happens if it goes 42 minutes? Well, I'm not going to really complain about that. The idea is that it doesn't ramble on too long on one subject. Like, we talk about cheese for 30 minutes. That's going to bore a lot of people, except some of you might actually enjoy that. But there is going to be some structure, but it's not going to be like total iron plate foundation, if you may call that, of a show. It's meant to be fun. Whether if discussing issues in society, of course, we don't want to get too much into controversy. I don't know, words. I think it would be fun to have something just to talk about life, talk about issues, funny stuff. I enjoy talking about funny stuff, so something just to kind of kill the time a bit, and hopefully some of you will enjoy that. But I figure for now, kind of give you a heads up and an idea of what I would like this podcast to be someday, because it's not a podcast yet until it actually does happen. But I think it'd be really fun to do for a change, something I've been putting off for so long. Never think I'd ever be able to get to it because I'm so busy doing meets throughout the whole year, going to conventions and whatnot. And you know what? Ever since COVID kind of happened, I've been able to get some of my time back. In fact, not just some of my time, all my time back. And you know what? I'm finding new ways to actually keep myself busy, and I'm reinventing the way how I spend my time in this fandom. And when things somewhat get back to normal again, running meets is going to go back to what it was in the past. Not maybe directly as much as it did, but I'd still be running meets when they come back. Though I may end up actually spending more of my own time for my own time. Not in a selfish way, but just more of, hey, have a weekend or two to myself a month, because I've been doing meets to many degrees for the last 7 years straight. So I've been joking with myself to have a vacation at some point. Now this is my vacation from all that. Been going to more conventions over the years, but even now it's like, well, it's a good break. It's not fun because I like going to conventions, but you know what? What can you do right now? So right now, I am reinventing myself as far as what to do with my time and how I should use my time. Even when things get back to normal, there might be some new changes. Yeah, I'll still go to meets. Oh, I still enjoy conventions. That won't change. But I might actually start making time for myself to do other things I might like to do myself, and that may not even be furry. So it would be a fun thing to kind of do in the meantime, and I think a podcast would be a fun way to sort of break the norm that I've known for a long, long time and do something that I've never done before and do it with some of you guys. Especially would be fun to have more like a localized view in this community. And podcasts are probably the more fun way of doing that. So, definitely we'll keep you guys all in touch regarding this. Once I can understand how to do a simple setup for a podcast. And when I do have a co-host over for a recording, now I'm not going to have a live recording. It's going to be pre-recorded, then put online. I'm not going to do much editing with it unless there's like really, really sensitive information, which I'm going to try to avoid to say anyway, because you know what? It's going to be like, oh yeah, we have a podcast, and then all of a sudden we have like 3 minutes of just absolute, nothingness, and then back to a show like, oh, what the hell just happened? It just got quiet. So it's not going to be a live show, but when it comes to the current present day regarding COVID, there's going to be precautions regarding a recording between me and another co-host. Of course, wearing masks and whatnot, so we're going to have to probably talk a little louder through a mask, staying 6 feet apart and just taking precautions doing so, and see how that works. Ventilation in a room, stuff like that. So things will be considered to make things safe for this podcast, because there's no point in doing a podcast then put yourself at risk and then now you can't do podcasts because you didn't take any precautions regarding that. So I am keeping a safe approach regarding that, but I think it'd be really fun to have a host. Well, I would be the host. To have a co-host on board, doesn't have to be the same one, but if it happens to be same co-host for a week or two, and then you get someone new on board and having returning co-hosts, that would be perfect. And to have an email that anyone can email me and ask me what I think about this, maybe ask about who, or ask to get to know who I am, like what I do for fun or for a living or whatever, really. Ask about questions about anything. I think that'd be really fun to answer listener questions at some point. That'll be part of the show too. So I figure give you an idea of what I have in mind, and again, we'll keep you in the know. So thank you guys.